Well, howdy folks, it's Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician, making another video for you out of Boise, Idaho here. So we're going to start working on a 2003 BMW X5. It's a 4.4i, so it has all the nice bells and whistles on it. This job came from the auction. It's one of my repeat customers. He picked it up fairly cheap at the auction, and he hopes to fix it up to resell it. And I think that we should be able to do that for him and do it in such a way so that way he can make a little bit of a profit on it. What is wrong with it? His first complaint on it was that he has a light on the dashboard here, and it says that the self-leveling suspension is inactive. Let's see if we can pull that up. There we go. There you go. Self-level suspension inactive. So that means that the self-leveling suspension is not working. We need to check the license plate lights as well. They're possibly out. So that's one of the complaints that he had. Another complaint that he had is that this power steering on this vehicle is extremely heavy or sluggish. So that means that as I'm turning the steering wheel, I got to really put some muscle into it, and you can really feel the weight of the car on the steering wheel. So let's go around and take a peek at some of the things that could possibly be wrong with the car. Alright, so here we are underneath the front of the vehicle, and the issue with the power steering was pretty much a no-brainer. The rack and pinion on this vehicle runs along the front. You can see it right here. Here's your inner tie rod end, your outer tie rod end, and it just runs right along here, right along the front. And all this mess that you see here is power steering fluid. So that's a automatic transmission fluid. That's what this vehicle uses for power steering fluid. And you can see that it is just leaking everywhere. You can even see some of that red tint of that fluid there. So it's obvious that it's time to change the rack and pinion on this vehicle, and that's one of the jobs that I'm going to be doing on this. Now then, to change the rack and pinion on this vehicle is a pretty heavy job. I will make a video for it. The engine needs to be suspended, so we'll have to place our engine bar in here from fender to fender, and then we'll have to go ahead and we'll have to suspend and lift the engine up, so that way we can get into the engine mounts and loosen the engine mounts, basically remove the engine mounts. What that's going to allow me to do is then drop the engine cradle, because I'm going to have to get clearance in order to remove the rack and pinion. I'll have to pull it out of one side. So for that job, the engine gets raised up per an engine suspension bar, remove the engine mounts on each side, then the vehicle gets raised up, then the engine cradle, which is the subframe that the engine sits on, gets lowered down about 3 inches, and then that way you can remove the rack and pinion and do all that other good stuff. Now, another complaint and issue that there is that the door handles, outside door handles, don't work. This is a common thing on the BMW X5. The door handles will break. You can kind of see this one too is just loose and broken, doesn't open up the door. How does that happen? Well, this one works just fine, and in order to fix that, you obviously have to take the door panel off and get in there. A lot of vehicles have just rods and pins, metal rods, plastic clips and pins that hold door handles together and work. Not the BMW X5. I'll show you what that internal piece looks like. I've already got one here brand new. I started receiving parts in for this vehicle. So this is the glory of your outer door handle, and this is what it looks like, okay? And it likes to break here, and I've also seen them break along here where these little springs are and stuff. And so in order to change that, you have to purchase this whole door handle right here, and then you have to pull the inside panel off, And then you also have to unmount the actual handle. Now this handle is separate, as you can see, from the mechanism itself, and it mounts right in here. And so this is where it normally likes to break. And if that happens, the best you can do is go ahead and buy a whole assembly and get that done. Now the other issue with this is that this window is being held up by cardboard. And again, the regulator and the track, the motor that the window travels up and down with, and the track it travels up and down on, that's going to be all one piece, and that's going to be inside of the door as well. So you just have to buy a whole new window regulator with the motor in order to fix that and get those clips and all that other stuff fixed in there so that window doesn't slide down anymore. So as of right now, we've got new door handles that are going to be replaced, rack and pinion that's going to be replaced, and then we're going to go ahead and address the self-leveling suspension Inactive. And I'd like to go ahead and show you some information concerning the self-leveling suspension on this vehicle. Now this vehicle has what's called coil-over struts, also known as coil-over struts or shocks. So basically what it is, as you can see, it's a strut or a shock with a coil on it, okay? And these are air controlled, and they're all part of the self-leveling suspension on it. So even though the self-leveling suspension is not working correctly, if you notice, the vehicle isn't sitting necessarily low, it's not sitting off. That's because right now those springs are what's holding the weight of that vehicle and keeping that vehicle up. Now a self-leveling suspension inactive code can come up for any reason. You could have a hole in one of your airbags. You could have a hole in one of the air lines. Maybe the air pump isn't working right. Allow me to show you the location of the self-leveling suspension components and parts. Alright, so all of your components and electronics and parts and pieces and all that other great glorious stuff for your BMW X5 are going to be in the back of the vehicle, and they're going to sit underneath your spare tire. Now the fuses and relays for the self-leveling are going to be on the passenger side behind this door right here, right before your passenger side brake light. Okay, and you're going to have two fuses in here. You're going to have a 7.5 fuse here, and you're going to have a 30 amp fuse here. You should have a diagram on your BMW that identifies them. Let's see here now. Air suspension, 79 and 87. 79 is our 7.5 and 87 is our 30. So you got a 30 fuse here and a 7.5 fuse here. You also have a couple relays that work with your self-leveling suspension. So that's going to be the location for those components. Unfortunately, that is not what is wrong with this vehicle. So if you need to go further into your self-leveling suspension, then you're going to want to go ahead and get in underneath your spare tire by raising up the hatch right here. So go ahead and lift this up. And as you can see, this is where your spare tire will go. Now this vehicle didn't come with a spare tire. Now then, you're going to have some components. Here are your air ride canisters, your hard canisters right here that fill up with air. Here's your electronics for your battery, your air ride, all that other good stuff. And then on this side, obviously I think maybe you can already see what the problem is. We've got an air ride canister over here, but for some reason this one is missing an air ride canister. So we're going to have to figure that one out here in a little bit. Now, if you want to gain access to your air pump, you're going to have some 10mm bolts that you're going to need to take off times 4. 1, 2, 3, and then 4. Okay? And then you're going to go ahead and you're going to lift this up. Now, your air pump sits underneath here, and these are the bolts that mount your air pump. So you just go ahead and lift that up and move it over. And there you go. There's your air pump. Here's your air lines. You can see the red air line goes and it follows through all the way to your air canister on your driver's side. Here's our blue air line, and since we're missing a canister on this side, you can see that is not connected. And hopefully this is the reason why this system is not working. Maybe somebody just didn't take the time to change the air canister. They pulled it but didn't put a new one in. I couldn't tell you. The only proper way for me to diagnose this right now is to get a new air canister, install it, and see why it's not working. But that's how you gain access to your air ride components. Your air pump is in here, and then your air canisters and all your air lines and everything start back here. Also, while we're here, you can see that this is where BMW keeps its battery. It's in the back compartment back here. Now, just some information. I've had complaints before, and I've fixed it before, where this battery compartment sometimes likes to get water inside of it, and that can cause all kinds of issues with your air pump. It can cause issues with your battery. So if you're having some electrical issues, it never hurts to look back here and see if there's any air or any water back here. And so there you go, folks. So that's what we're going to be doing with the BMW. Here in the future, you'll see videos showing how to replace the rack and pinion on it. You'll see videos showing how to replace the door handles. You'll see videos showing how to replace the window regulator. And then once I get my new air ride canister in, I'll go ahead and get that installed. And I'm really hoping that that's the only reason why the air ride doesn't work properly. However, there is a chance that I could install that canister and find out that maybe the airbag or something on this side has a hole in it or has a leak, and that's why whoever owned this vehicle before went ahead and removed that side canister and disabled the air ride system. So it'll be interesting to continue to move forward on this one and see what happens. Well, everybody, this is Matthew, your friendly neighborhood technician. Thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for watching. Keep an eye on this one. And if you have any questions or comments about your BMW or any other vehicles whatsoever, just shoot them to me in the comments. Shoot me an email. I'm real well known for getting back with people, trading emails, calling you on the phone, helping you out, walking you through processes and procedures. All right, everybody, thanks for supporting me. I am signing off.